Cinephile ASMR. And tonight, at literally, I don't know if you can see that, 2:06 in the morning, I'm at a park. How are you doing? I feel weird. I feel really vulnerable right now. I mean, you're technically not supposed to be in a park past, I think, like 10 o'clock. So I'm really taking a gamble right now. There is a light blaring in my face, but I think we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna leave it to the Tingle gods to keep me safe, because today we are continuing a series that I have left kind of in the gutter for a while. And I love horror. I love scary things. I like to be frightened, that adrenaline rush. And I used to watch different YouTube commentary channels that would do horror stories. And I think as I've gotten older and my time has gotten a bit more limited, I've kind of sought that in the form of reading. And with that has been Reddit. So today we are continuing the r/nosleep subreddit horror story videos with me at a park. The ambience, I kind of had this idea. I love this park. I've shot a couple smaller form stuff. Sorry, I'm like hearing noises on my TikTok, which reminds me, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, commenting your thoughts, what scares you, and subscribe. Follow my TikTok and my letterbox for the most up-to-date movie reviews and loggings and daily short-form videos. But I used to upload stuff in this park when it was broad daylight and populated. And I could have shot this in my car. I could have shot this in my room, but it didn't feel right. And I have work. I'm a barista. I have work at 3:30 in the morning. And I was like, I'll get a couple hours at least. But I couldn't. And I couldn't because I think I'm partially insomniac ridden. But I also read a story that was sort of the reason why the big push to making another video from the Reddit, the subreddit, r/nosleep. And there's a visual, and it's going to be the last story I tell. It's going to be a tale of 3 stories that I could not get out of my head. So this is going to be a bit more of a laid back as you can get, given how crazy this is. And I'm not going to try and spend too much time out of fear of my own safety. Sorry for the plane overhead, but also, yeah, this is crazy. I'm like all 8 angles here. This is in the middle of the night. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So I got the 3 stories here on my phone. And as always, I will be sort of talking about the story, but beforehand stating the user who uploaded said story, just so you can go back and listen to it or read it on your own time. So without further ado, the first story on the r/nosleep subreddit comes from the user Blair Daniels, and this story is titled, "Someone Keeps Rearranging the Letters in My Craft Store I Work At. It's Starting to Get Creepy." I stared at the aisle end cap display of glittery disco ball letters. Someone had lovingly rearranged the letters to spell out boobs, the D word, the F word, 1 word per shelf in that order, like they purposely made them go from less obscene to more obscene. The only shelf they didn't touch was the one that was half covered by the advertisement that read 50% off disco letters. It wasn't worth the effort, I guess, if no one was going to see it. Teenagers, I growled under my breath. I didn't want to sound curmudgeon-y, but damn, It was 15 minutes till closing, and I had a family to get home to. A little girl who stayed up past her bedtime just to hug me goodnight. When you're young, everything's so effing funny. They never think of the consequences. I rearranged the letters, grumbling all the while. Then I walked away, muttering curses to myself, pushing the dust mop over the aisle floor. I was the only one in the store, and this had to get done before I closed up, or I'd be yelled at. We had a militaristic boss who checked the security camera tapes like a psycho. When I went into aisle 32, however, there was another one. Flaccid. Okay, I had to give them points for creativity on this one. We'd mostly sold out of these oversized gold party letters. There were only 10 left. It took a lot of creativity to form an obscene word out of 10 letters. Kudos, honestly. I re-scrambled the letters and continued through the store. When I got to aisle 44, however, where we keep the wooden paintables like birdhouses and the like, someone had rearranged the wooden letters into words. Just one word. Not obscene. Help. I froze, staring at the letters. Well, that was disconcerting. That had to be another joke, right? Trying to give someone a scare. Well, they succeeded. I glanced around the store and even crouched to check under the space under the aisle shelves, but no one was there, of course. I stood back up and continued pushing the dust mop. 9:03. Fudge. I had to hurry it up and close up shop. I went on mopping through the aisles as quickly as I could when I got to the baking aisle and my eyes fell on the cookie cutter letters. I just knew there was going to be another word or message waiting. And there was. The cookie cutters had been balanced upright, reading, watching you. All the blood drained out of my face. Shut up, I told myself, pushing the mop faster. It's just a bunch of teenagers trying to scare people. Obscenities and creepy messages. This just screams 14-year-old boys who watched a horror movie once. Except, what if it was two different people? The thought lingered in my brain. It was a Friday, one of our busiest days. Close to 100 people had probably been in the store over the whole day. I hadn't been in the baking aisle since yesterday's cleaning. What if these messages are real? What if someone is watching you? I thought one of our regulars, a guy in his 60s, white hair, roving eyes, thin frame. I always thought it was a little weird that he came in so often. I mean, I think it's amazing when guys craft, but he just stuck out like a sore thumb among the older ladies and the families, especially because he seemed to buy such varied stuff. Clay one day and paint by numbers the next, rather than sticking with one niche hobby. What if he'd been coming here so often because of me? He was always overly friendly, his gaze lingering sometimes glancing down. I ran to the storage closet and threw the dust mop in, got my keys and purse, headed towards the front door to lock up. But as I hurried down the aisle, something caught my eye. I turned. The disco ball letters. They'd been rearranged. Instead of obscenities or random gibberish, they now read, "Better run." Time seemed to stop. My heart dropped to the ground. Someone else is in this store. I glanced around, just in time to see a shape dart behind the aisle. Too quick to see anything apparent, gender, race, age, but enough to see that someone was there. Just a flicker of movement. I sprinted towards the door. I didn't even bother looking up as I ran out to my car. My footsteps pounded on the pavement. Something collided with me from the side. I fell to the ground, hard. The asphalt scraped against my cheek. I scrambled up to see a figure standing over me, silhouetted by the red glow of the Crafts for All sign. It was a man, but younger than the guy I was thinking of. Someone I vaguely recognized, who'd been in the store at some point, but I couldn't quite place them. "Got you," he growled, his throat gravelly. I scrambled up, stood there, frozen, staring at him, locked in a stalemate. Then I dashed around the other side of the car, dove in, and hit the locks. His palms hit the glass the instant the locks clicked. He tried the handle over and over again. "Hey," he shouted. I climbed over the center console, got in the driver's seat, and reversed out as fast as I could, not bothering to look if I ran any part of him over. I drove and drove, not even glancing in the rearview mirror until I got home. My husband called the police as I hugged my little girl, who was still waiting up for me. I imagine how long she would have waited if I never came home. That story is good. I love that story. I think it is something to do about that idea of such a big space being completely vacant, minus you. Sort of apropos considering where I'm at right now. Yeah, that's the first one. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite story is out of the 3 I tell tonight, please and thank you. Alright, my friends. Story 2. This comes from Redditor Alex Storm XO, titled, "I keep getting voicemails from my daughter. She died in 2009. When my daughter Emma died in 2009, I thought the worst pain was over. I was wrong. She was only 10, hit by a drunk driver while riding her bike in front of our house. I don't need to describe the hell that followed. If you've lost a child, you already know it. If you haven't, thank whatever God you believe in." The first voicemail came on what would have been her 24th birthday. It was 3:16 a.m. when my phone buzzed. I was already awake. I recognized the number instantly. It was hers. We'd kept her phone plan going for a while after her death, just to hear her voice on the voicemail. Eventually, we canceled it. Or I thought we did. The message was only a few seconds long. "Dad?" Then static. I sat up in bed, phone shaking in my hand. I played it again. Same thing. Same voice. Her voice, not a glitchy AI sound, not some kid playing a prank. It was Emma, soft and confused, just like she used to sound when she woke up from a nightmare. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I didn't tell anyone. The next night, it happened again. "Dad, are you still mad at me?" Static, then silence. I stopped checking the messages for a few days, thinking if I didn't listen, it would stop. It didn't. They came every night at 3:16 a.m. exactly, always from her old number, always her voice. I finally gave in and listened to all of them. Some were whispers I couldn't make out. Some were just sobbing. One night she said, "I'm cold. It's so dark here." I took the phone to the police. The officer was sympathetic but firm. Probably a scam, maybe some kind of sick hacking. They'd look into it. They never called me back. I contacted the phone company. Her number had been reassigned to a teenager in Wisconsin. I spoke to his mother. She said he hadn't used the phone in months. He'd lost it. Around the same time the voicemail started. My therapist told me it was grief, unresolved trauma, that my brain was playing tricks on me. But here's the thing. Emma said something in her last voicemail that shattered any doubt. It was June 3rd, the anniversary of her death. The message was longer this time. Dad, I saw you by the bike. I tried to yell. I waved. You looked right through me. Then a pause. Then, why did you pretend you didn't see me? I hadn't told anyone I visited the exact spot that day. Not my sister, not my ex-wife, no one. I did think I saw something. A flicker in the corner of my eye. A small figure in a blue jacket, the same one she was wearing that day. But when I turned, nothing was there. I told myself it was my imagination. Then came the final message 2 nights ago. It was different, louder, more alive. Daddy, I'm not supposed to talk to you anymore. He's getting mad. Static crackled like fire. Then I heard a new voice. Not Emma's. It was deep and slow and wrong. It said, "Stop looking. You'll see us soon enough." The line went dead. I smashed the phone. Yesterday I got a new phone number, a new provider, burned the old SIM, brand new phone. And still, tonight, at exactly 3:16 a.m., the phone buzzed. One new voicemail from Emma. Now, one thing I forgot to kind of note in the beginning is, when I made my first video, I think I forgot to clarify that why I love r/nosleep so much is because I would argue it is the most popular horror-related story Reddit. And with that, you come people trying to see what is fact and fiction. But I guess for me, the best way and overall approach, in my opinion, towards going about these stories, how you will get the most maximized tension, fear, is not trying to decipher if it is fact or fiction, if things are embellished. I think to me it is, if the story is good, that's all that matters. And that story is so scary, but not quite as scary as our last tale tonight. Our last story comes from Redditor King Crimson Zero, titled, "My Mom Used to Hide Under My Bed at Night." I was born in 2000, grew up in a small town in northeast Ohio. We had one of those little ranch-style houses, all on one floor, 3 bedrooms. It was just me and my mom for most of my life. My dad left me when I was a baby. She was a good mom, from what I remember. We didn't have much money, but she made sure I always had what I needed. She worked as a waitress at a restaurant in the center of town. Always tired, but always kind. We'd watch movies together at night. She'd tuck me in, kiss my forehead, and tell me she loved me. I felt safe, except at bedtime. I must have been about 6 or 7 the first time I noticed it. One night after she tucked me in, I heard the floor creak after she turned off the light. Not out in the hall, but right by my bed. I remember freezing, listening. Then I heard the sound of her breathing, slow heavy, right underneath me. I leaned over the edge and whispered, "Mom." She didn't answer, just this soft little giggle. Not mean, not playful, just weird. I called for her louder. After a few seconds, she crawled out from under the bed like it was the most normal thing in the world, smiled at me and said, "Go to sleep, sweetheart. Mommy's here." Then she left the room. The next night, same thing. I heard her crawl under right after lights out. The soft thud of her knees and hands against the floorboards. The shift of the mattress as she settled in.
How old are you?
21?
Oh my god, you look so much younger, my bad.
Nah, you're chilling, bro. You just biking tonight?
Yep.
Have fun, brother.
Alright, stay safe.
You as well, G.
Bro. As I said, I'm gonna keep that in. The world's crazy. Alright, back to the story. The soft thud of her knees and hands against the floorboards. The shift of the mattress as she settled in. Then the breathing. I was too little to really question it. I thought maybe it was just a game she liked to play. But the older I got, the more I realized it wasn't a game. It became a routine. She tucked me in like normal, turn off the light, and then she would get under the bed every single night. And then she started doing little things. She would tap on the wood under my mattress in these odd rhythms. 3 taps, then 2, then 4. Sometimes it sounded almost like a song, other times like random patterns. If I moved or sat up, she'd stop until I lay back down. A couple times I caught her peeking out from the foot of the bed. I'd feel eyes on me and look down, and there she was. Her face just visible in the dark, one eye glinting in the faint light from the hall. No expression, just watching. I stopped sleeping well. I'd lie stiff under the covers, too afraid to move or call for help. If I tried to leave the bed, she'd grab my ankle. Not hard, just enough to stop me. Then she'd giggle again, that same weird giggle. I never told anyone. I mean, how do you explain something like that when you're a kid? I figured no one would believe me. It wasn't every night that something scary happened. Some nights she'd just lie there quietly. I'd hear her whispering to herself sometimes. Words I couldn't make out, soft and steady, like she was talking to someone I couldn't hear. This went on for years. During the day, she was totally normal. Made my lunch, helped with homework, joked with me, hugged me. I remember trying to work up the courage to ask her about it once when I was around 10. I said something dumb like, "Mom, why do you sleep under my bed?" She just blinked at me and smiled. "Oh, buddy, I don't do that. You must be having silly dreams." But that night, she was there again, and the tapping was louder. By the time I was 9 or 10, I stopped looking under the bed. I started sleeping on the couch when I could get away with it. Eventually, when I turned 11, she told me I was old enough to have a lock on my door. She never came back into my room. I didn't know why she did it. I don't know what changed. She passed away when I was 23. Cancer. In her last weeks, she was confused a lot of the time, drifting in and out. But one night, when I was sitting by her bed, she grabbed my wrist and said very clearly, "I kept you safe, you know. You were never alone at night." I still don't understand what she meant. Oh my god. So that was insane. That was so crazy. I kind of told myself if I saw anybody or had an encounter, obviously my brain was thinking the worst and I would have to go into fight or flight mode, but I buckled. That's crazy. Like seeing an NPC at 2 in the morning is crazy, but they seem nice. Now this story, I was trying to go to sleep tonight when I basically could not get that visual of seeing like a half pseudo silhouetted face of a woman right like at the floor of my bed. Oh my god. But we made it. I cannot deny to you though, the noise I've been hearing, the little creatures, hearing that guy's voice in the background and then seeing a shadow emerge. I don't even know if I got it fully on camera. That was crazy. But hey, always keep it rolling. So there you have it, my friends. I also kind of picked these stories specifically because they're shorter. Obviously, because I didn't want to be here too long to miss my shift or to get snatched by the hash-slinging slasher. But I love them. I love them so much. So, again, a video becomes a series only if you want it to be. So let me know if you would like for me to do another continuation of this. Let me know of your thoughts on either of the stories. Maybe rank them from what scared you the most to the least. I try to mix and have a good diverse pool. Yeah. Sorry, I'm like also, I haven't slept. I feel like this is like therapy and me venting and offloading, but also giving you nightmares. What a great way to synthesize this into ASMR. But anyways, my friends, I'm gonna head out. I love you all so very much. Please, above all else, I hope you enjoyed. But remember to take life one frame at a time. I'll see you in the next one, everybody.